On this episode, we give our thoughts on WWE Money in the Bank, Kevin Owens, Brock Lesnar getting his rematch, Paige and the NXT Divas, WWE 2K16, and more now on Byte That. Welcome everybody, you are listening to episode 95 of Byte That, a weekly podcast where we discuss, argue, we simply talk about the squared circle involving the WWE and maybe the rest of professional wrestling. Thanks for tuning in and checking out the show. Remember, the podcast is available every single Tuesday night. And if you like us, check us out on social media. We are Byte That Cast on Twitter and the Book with the Faces. My name is Juan Velas. I am from San Juan, Puerto Rico. And of course, I am joined by the Byte That team from Boston, Massachusetts, Ryan McNulty. Hi.
Juan, the legacy continues. I don't know why I said that. I just happen to be reading a DVD off my shelf, so there you go.
And from the Amazon password, because that's what's on my desk, Keith Poshik, people.
Dentine Ice, Spearmint, 12 pieces, sugar-free gum. That's what I got on my table.
We didn't even get paid for that.
Yeah, that's a pretty good Money in the Bank review, actually.
I agreed.
But, let's talk about that which we love, which is the world of professional wrestling. Of course, we got Money in the Bank last Sunday, which is just a couple of weeks, 2 weeks after Elimination Chamber. And in a couple of weeks, we're going to have the WWE Live event in Tokyo. Wrestling is happening, okay? So right off the bat, I want to get to Money in the Bank. I posted my review. You can check it out at the YouTube channel, youtube.com/ByteThatCast. I talked about all the matches, but you guys, taking it first to Mr. McNulty, what was your overall impression for MITB?
I thought Money in the Bank was a pretty solid show that was kind of carried on the backs of 3 matches. I was really surprised that they opened up with the Money in the Bank ladder match, but I think given the card, they kind of had no choice but to do that. You wanted to separate the 2 ladder matches as much as you possibly could. But overall, I thought it was an excellent show. Owens and Cena do it again. They just absolutely tore the house down. And then the main event, that was like a 40-minute... That had to be like 40 minutes. And
it was a lengthy match, yeah.
It was unbelievable. Like, they made Ambrose look like $1 million for being able to hang in there that long, and the amount of brutality that each of them went through. It was insane. I thought it was a very fitting match for the 2 of them. So pretty good show overall.
Yeah, I agree. Since WrestleMania, the WWE has been on a roll when it comes to these pay-per-views and just the quality of the matches and the quality of the show itself. And Money in the Bank really continued that. So as we approach the lull that is this time of year usually, hopefully they keep that up and at that level.
A lot of people did have a lot of criticism because I think with the exception of the 2 matches, there's the Kevin Owens match with John Cena that we'll talk about. With Money in the Bank, so we have 2 ladder matches. Overall, I think we were all pretty excited. I personally really enjoyed the show. I talk about it for about 20 minutes on the channel. But getting to the ladder matches, my thing... as I mentioned in the review, is that I got sort of a weird vibe with the first one where, usually when you hear about ladder matches, you're like, yeah, there's going to be action and things happening. With this,
do you, though, anymore? They've kind of beaten that match into the ground to a point where I don't really agree with that.
No, and that's the thing. In the main event match, I was like, okay, yeah, so I like that. I like the one-on-ones because they had pacing. They had time to really sort of, work on things. But with the first one, I just kind of wanted to get it over with after a while. What do you think, Ryan?
Well, I think it was not quite as spot-heavy as a lot of other like last year's Money in the Bank match in comparison. Or I shouldn't say it wasn't... There was 2 last year, right? The one for the briefcase last year, not the one for the title, was just way crazier and way more spot heavy. This one was just kind of a little more tame. And, I get people want to protect themselves, but I know what you mean. It's just between this and TLC, we see a lot of ladder matches in a year. And this one didn't really stand out in any particular way.
To kind of elaborate on that, I have a question for you, Juan. Do you think you feel like that because we saw that multi-man ladder match at WrestleMania? Like, do you think the fact that we've gotten 2 multi-man ladder matches so close to each other kind of really dampened?
And then even before that,
reaction?
you just go back to December and there was more ladder matches,
I think that it's kind of that, but it's more of just they have a time and a place. Like, the reason we talk about TLC matches, where the Hardys, the Dudleys, there were these tag teams that justify, like, the match, it had to happen because of their style. But now it's like, we talked about with the pay-per-view names, Hell in a Cell. Oh, I guess there's going to be a Hell in a Cell match. So that format just makes me go like, get it over with, because the ladder match, the main event one, that can tell a story because it makes sense. But in here, Kane's in there, Sheamus is in there. Why are they in there? Because, well, they're in the main event
because
team,
we
so they
don't
got to be
want the
somewhere.
match to suck.
Pretty much. It just seems like you mentioned Hell in a Cell, and these matches kind of seem like very similar to Hell in the Cell in the way that they're almost like they're a relic that should go away at some point. Like, it's not what it used to be. It'll probably never be that again, because if you compare them to the TLC matches that you mentioned with the Hardys and the Dudleys and Edge and Christian, it will never be that again. It will never come close to it. So maybe they should just go away.
They definitely should. I mean, this is a common topic that we talk about on this podcast a lot, about themed pay-per-views and how they ruin match types. Because, I mean, if we saw one ladder match a year and maybe the people involved were more inclined to go all out because they know that that's the only one for a while, then I think overall we'll enjoy more. Just like if a Hell in a Cell is saved for a feud that's, really intense, and that is like the final match of that feud.
Totally. I would even say you could do that with multi-man ladder matches. Like, if there's only one of those a year, then at least it remains somewhat special.
I agree.
Yeah, so that's why I think that they should just space this stuff out, especially now that we're getting network specials and everything. I just don't see a reason, to have this type of specialty match be the primary focus. I don't think it should be Money in the Bank. It should be saved up for WrestleMania or something. But, of course, we got to give a lot of time to Kevin Owens, John Cena too. The first match, they didn't leave the ring. The second one, they managed to do it yet again. It was freaking awesome. I want to take it to you first, Keith. Either overall match or just, what is your vibe with Kevin Owens, with what happened here and with what happened on Raw, sort of taking a little bit from that with MGK powerbombing off. So Kevin Owens, Keith, talk about him.
Kevin Owens, first of all, powerbombing MGK, amazing, absolutely incredible. But, the match between him and Cena was really good, but I kind of had like this revelation in the middle of it that I really wanted to bring up to you guys, how, we all love the match, right? But if you really break it down, it wasn't much more than the thing that we complain about when it comes to indie wrestling, how it's just big spot after big spot after big spot, just like over and over and over until the match ends. So why did this match feel so different?
I actually talked about that in my review, and I said it was basically an indie match.
Maybe I should have watched it.
Yeah, maybe. You should go check out the channel, Keith. No, but I basically compared it. It was an indie match with WWE pacing. I think that's why it worked, because in other matches, you can see, 20 finishers and 20 kickouts, but it's like, as a character, you're not seeing anything out of them. You're just seeing, I got to get up and then I got to hit the other move. With here, it was a proving ground match. Kevin Owens has to beat Cena twice, and then Cena can be beat down by the NXT guy twice. So it's a matter of like, give me all you got, because I gotta look good for me.
True enough. And that point aside, it still was an incredible match. There was even a moment where I maybe thought they were going to do the unthinkable with John Cena when he started getting like frustrated with the ref. Like, oh, maybe he's going to attack the ref. Maybe he's going to cause like a disqualification or something like that. It was a really nice mix of good moves and good story development, and it made this perfect storm of a match.
Exactly. That frustration with Cena was really like what made you believe Owens could win, because maybe somehow that, Cena being
He'll make some sort of mistake.
Yeah, somehow him being overly frustrated would have played into the end. And I wish they would have done something more with that, but I'm still okay with at least making you believe that Owens could win again. And obviously it looks like they want to go to a third match, so you got to have, each of them get their win in.
So let's talk about that third match. I mean, this feud has happened, it has skyrocketed since day one. And now we are pretty much going to get that third match at Battleground, I'm assuming. And is it too fast? I mean, personally for me, anything can change. Even they can confirm the match and cancel it, so it doesn't really matter right now because they still got some time before Battleground for once. But
oh my God, when Michael Cole said 5 weeks till Battleground last night, I was ecstatic.
Ain't that great? But we had the Tokyo show in between. But with this match, what can happen now? If it's just a one-on-one match, realistically, from either frustration, whatever, where can they go with this that they haven't gone there already?
I saw someone on Squared Circle suggesting an Iron Man match. Is that
That'd
too
be pretty
soon?
cool.
I think that would be really cool. It would be pretty crazy to throw Owens into an Iron Man match this quickly going up to the main roster. But I mean, this match, I feel like it has to happen now. I mean, if the second match, if it was just a one-time thing, I'd say sure. But now that they've had the second match and they've each got their win, this is a full-on feud that's ending probably at Battleground, or may even move on to SummerSlam if there's some sort of shady finish.
Mm-hmm. We're kind of conditioned to expect some sort of stipulation in this match. What that might be, who knows? An Iron Man match does actually sound really awesome, but they'll probably go that route. Hopefully they don't go like the I Quit Last Man Standing, Cena wins lull match type. But yeah.
So now it does seem like Kevin Owens wants some more gold. So having said that, are we going to see double champion? Or maybe the Tokyo show will put some damper in that?
Yeah, I think Owens' days...
I think he's losing the belt.
His days are numbered as NXT champion, especially because he's basically a full-time roster guy. And, I think once he loses that NXT title, they can finally take the NXT Minitron off of his entrance.
That's how the times will change.
Yeah, because, now that he's regularly on Raw, it kind of... it cheapens him a little bit to still have the NXT there.
Kind of. I mean, it's really great promotion for NXT, having the champion be Kevin Owens, basically going as hard as he can against John Cena and taking him to the limit. So...
that's how you're moving on up. It's not a Titantron, it's like, oh, the Minitron changed.
Yeah, Minitrons matter.
Yeah. So let's talk about the main event match, the conclusion. So Seth Rollins retained. The whole stipulation was that the Authority was not going to help. He was by himself. Another proving ground match. Freaking awesome hype up segment. Happening with Triple H backstage. Basically something like this is it. This is the moment. What do you guys think about his victory? And then we got to talk about the new challenger. So who wants to be the victim going first?
I'll go first, I guess. Keith did look like he was ready to speak up. So, wow. Brock Lesnar's back already. I don't think anyone expected that it was going to be... that he would be wrestling at Battleground. So this match, as far as WWE.com says, is Lesnar versus Rollins at Battleground. I don't know what's going to happen to Rollins here. I mean, except for the fact that he's going to get suplexed a lot.
Yeah, it just feels weird that Lesnar is back in the WWE title picture.
At Battleground.
And at Battleground, that's a whole other layer. But I don't know why they had an out as far as Lesnar goes with the title. So now... do they just throw the title back on Brock and it goes away for the second half of the year again? Or
and how could that match even happen? Because, when you think about all they did to John Cena, kayfabe-wise...
he will kill.
Yeah. It's how can this be a match? The moment Seth Rollins gets two moves in, it just doesn't make sense.
Well, kayfabe-wise, they explain it off like this is the ultimate challenge for Seth. And maybe that's where they go with it, where Seth fails miserably and they put the title back on Brock, and then it leads to maybe Triple H and Seth Rollins at SummerSlam.
And I got to point out that facial expression Seth had was when the music
incredible.
Cued, man, on point.
And he wouldn't even look him in the eye. He played it off really well. I mean, the Authority could come to the rescue to hold things over till SummerSlam. Like I said, I'm still expecting that triple threat kind of WrestleMania rematch happening at SummerSlam. And I don't think I don't know. I mean, we'll do our predictions in 5 weeks. We got 5 glorious weeks.
Oh, that feels so nice to hear.
To talk about this and kind of speculate. But I mean, I feel like there's going to be some wacky finish to it. Something's going to happen.
I just don't get it. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
How so?
Yeah.
Just the whole Brock being in the title picture again. They had a way for Brock to keep the title off of Brock.
But he needs his rematch.
Exactly. He never got his rematch.
Does he, though?
Yeah. I mean, it took Orton a year, sure, but he got his rematch.
It's
with,
wrestling. Why not?
A totally different opponent.
With Brock Lesnar, they had a very easy out of, Brock Lesnar's been there, he's done that. He's a prize fighter. He doesn't need that title anymore. He's going to go for something bigger. What that bigger is, I don't know.
Also, who cost him the championship? Obviously, he is out for blood, and it's Seth Rollins' blood. He is the one who destroyed his title reign. So even if he wasn't champion, he would want to go after Seth Rollins. So it also makes sense that he gets his rematch.
And another thing that we originally didn't have in the agenda, but we got to talk about, is the Roman Reigns and Bray Wyatt situation. It plays off to this exactly, because if Roman Reigns was active in the main event scene right now, the title picture, I don't think we would see Brock right now. But the fact that they are definitely going, with Roman Reigns' own feuds, they're really going hard on the fact that, can he go alone? Because we didn't talk about that. When Sheamus won the Money in the Bank, number one, what was your reaction when you saw that he won? And then number two, when you found out that Roman Reigns lost?
I was surprisingly okay with the fact that Sheamus won. It's going to be a long cash-in. See, it goes back to this Brock Lesnar thing that I don't get. Okay, Lesnar wins. Does Sheamus cash in on Lesnar?
No.
Probably not. So, does that mean, Lesnar loses the title to Reigns at some point in the near future, and then Sheamus cashes in on him? It's weird right now.
We're always thinking, 5 months ahead.
Yeah.
But, I was fine with Sheamus winning. I had heard rumors or saw some, spoiler leak thing a couple days before the pay-per-view saying that there was a chance Reigns wasn't going to win because they want to do a Bray Wyatt feud. And I think that's good for, to keep Roman Reigns kind of proving himself on his own, doing his own thing, staying away from the title scene, and really kind of getting the crowd behind him, which I think is great. And Sheamus getting it, it's, this guy's kind of got a renewed formula. He's he's been on fire lately, and I think down the line he could make a really good champion.
I don't think he's gonna win. As I mentioned with my New Day Kofi winning prediction, whoever won is not gonna win the championship when they cash in. That's just my thing. With the Roman Reigns situation, I even brought it up in my review, Ryan. Your thing where WWE's big plan with Roman, it's playing out to perfection. This is. I got to keep bringing it up. This is the best character development that the WWE has done in 5-6 years. I know it seems ridiculous, but think about how much hatred Roman Reigns had, around the Rumble time. And in a very short amount of time, people are getting to like him. And what better way now that, his feud with Bray Wyatt is about his family also, about Bray Wyatt taking the championship away. So it becomes even more personal.
It's definitely the biggest character turnaround. I would even go as far as say in wrestling history for somebody that everybody just hated so much to just love. Maybe, maybe not in history. Maybe The Rock would be the last time something like this happened, but it's definitely up there.
Something about Samoans that people don't like initially.
People didn't hate Roman Reigns. They just hated his push.
They hated the idea of Roman Reigns.
They hated his path to the championship. Because it was too predictable. People didn't think he was ready for it. And as soon as they shifted in a different direction and are making him, cut his teeth doing good feuds and good matches, then, he'll get the crowd on his side again. And I also like how the whole Bray Wyatt segment he had, the picture of his family. It's they aired that commercial. They hadn't aired that commercial in forever. But they aired that Roman Reigns with his daughter commercial just so it was fresh in our minds for that segment later on.
Totally. And while that was cool, it just seemed, from Bray Wyatt's standpoint, it's just the exact same thing over again. He couldn't even do a full screen
printout either. It was just
I know.
Yeah.
Do you really think, look at that character. Do you think he has access to a high-tech printer? I don't think so.
He had to go buy Staples for like 5 minutes before the show.
Yeah, but
maybe the intricacies aren't going to be the same, like the actual feud, but it's going to be Bray Wyatt. He's going to talk a big game. He's going to go into the match, and my money's on Roman Reigns. It's just going to be the same thing, and then he's left in the same place.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest problem, where this is the feud for Wyatt. I think where his character can turn around. The problem is he's feuding against Roman Reigns. So is there any chance, even a 2% chance, that in the concluding match, whenever it happens in this feud, he actually wins? I don't think so.
I would like to reference the Undertaker feud from earlier this year, where you could say the exact same thing, and it's probably going to be the exact same outcome, unfortunately.
I remember I was talking to Keith about this the other day, but Bray Wyatt is in like a special tier on the roster that is just like the worst place, where everyone below him that he beats doesn't mean anything, and then he has to lose to everybody else above him. You know what I mean? Like, beating Ryback meant nothing, but then he'll feud with someone like Roman Reigns and he has to lose.
Basically, it sucks for Wyatt. I think
he's in kayfabe hell, basically,
or purgatory, either one.
So, talking about another interesting segment we had on Raw. So it seems to be a thing happening with the Divas division. You know, even on Money in the Bank, Paige was talking about the fact that she can't take down the Bella Twins alone. I think that inevitably is going to lead to some sort of NXT invasion of sorts. So we had this backstage segment. Paige is talking to the rest of the Divas. The Bella Twins come out, and then basically everybody ditches Paige. She's by herself, no support from anybody, and then that's kind of it. So where do you guys see this going? You know, is this the female Shield or what?
I think it's just a really good way to debut one, if not more, of the NXT divas. Like, the WWE Diva roster can't get it done. So somebody like Charlotte, that's who my money's on with this debut, comes along and takes care of the job and instantly becomes like the queen of the mountain.
Well, you guys actually made some great points, because I was thinking, where is this going? And then the second one mentioned NXT debuts, I was like, this all makes a ton of sense now. So yeah, there definitely has to be somebody they're bringing up. Most likely Charlotte. Maybe they'll bring up Charlotte and Sasha Banks. I feel like they should maybe just stick to one, though.
Now, we're talking about maybe some sort of invasion, but what if instead of Neville, Neville was called up to the roster? What if it's something like Kevin Owens, where it's an NXT guy fighting on Raw? Maybe we could be seeing like, Sasha Banks, Charlotte, they can all sort of help Paige while still being part of NXT instead of them being called up. You guys like that?
I think that's a possibility, although I feel like with the Owens thing, it's like, do you really want to be doing the exact same thing just with the divas?
Well, I don't want them to get called up. I love NXT. Sasha Banks should stay down there forever, in the best way possible. I mean it as a compliment.
I wonder if they create a situation where somebody is the NXT Women's Champion and WWE Divas Champion at the same time, kind of like what Paige did, but not relinquish the title.
And then that's just not fair, if they could do that for somebody else, but Paige had to relinquish her title.
I mean, nobody remembers that.
I'm sure she will, but yeah.
Yeah.
It's an interesting situation because, as I mentioned before, with NXT, there are women and male, but they're all superstars. I see them all in the same tier. The divas are never going to be that in WWE for either demographics or something. It sucks because it shouldn't be the thing. But is there any way where Sasha, Alexa Bliss, Charlotte, even Carmella, that they can move up to the roster and they're not just like, here's the divas match. Oh, but now John Cena. The next segment. I don't see that not happening.
It's been too many years of conditioning for people to just not care or not see it at the same level. So it's going to take many years to get people, I don't know, to get the mainstream audience to accept it. I don't know. NXT, it's the most hardcore fans that are watching it and attending it. So they're more open. it's weird in a way. They're more open to accepting something like that just because they love wrestling so much. And I think just a lot of the hardcore fans really want the Divas division to be treated well. So when it is, they really embrace it.
You can kind of go back to Triple H's phone conference meeting thing from a couple months ago where he said the NXT fans are more open to new ideas, open to new things that wouldn't exactly work on the WWE roster. And the idea of the Divas main eventing really falls into that quite well.
No, definitely. And for closing, basically for everybody listening, I would like to know, do you want to see the NXT women wrestlers, female wrestlers, get called up as part of NXT representation or moving up to the roster? Send us a tweet at ByteThatCast. And talking about some other plugs that are happening, this Thursday we have a brand new Squirt Roundtable coming up. Keith, sir, tell us about it. Why am I talking in pauses? I don't know, but go ahead.
Well, Juan, we sit down and we talk about the greatest WWE title reigns of all time. What we think are are personal. That's what we thinking is. And then we just kind of go through some of the best, talk about why we think they're so great, and
Well, there you go.
Fun times.
Yeah, we talk about the greatest WWE Championship reigns in history for us, so you can go there. By the way, next week, we have the Fight Night season finale. Fight Night is our fantasy league. We play WWE 2K14. Ryan and myself, we commentate. We give life to these stories. You know, that which we complain about WWE, we make that happen on Fight Night. We have Banana Bread that has been murdered. It doesn't make any sense, but that's why you gotta YouTube. That's why you gotta go to youtube.com/ByteThatCast. Can't even talk. And by the way, quick shout out. Thanks to everybody that attended the randomly created Twitch stream I had last week. We have twitch.tv/ByteThat. I played some Tomb Raider, WWE 2K14. I had a lot of wrestling talk, a lot of people. We had Kane Yo-Yo V1, NKBE 1324. Thanks to everybody else that attended. We talked about wrestling. You guys send us a lot of questions every week, so keep at it. Follow us. You know, that heart, it's not just for love, it's for follow, so that way you know when we are streaming. And there's this little thing that, Keith, you knew about this, and you didn't tell me this thing existed, okay?
I know. I did you good. I was thinking financially for you.
Yes, I'm talking about it.
Because I love you. That heart right there, this one right here, that's for love. This one's for love.
Oh, my brother, justify. No, I'm talking about WrestleCrate. So, you know, if you have Loot Crate, you know, there are all these things that basically you pay a fee a month. And then you get a box with, you know, random goodies that you don't know what they are until you get them. So WrestleCrate.com is very much this for wrestling fans. You can pay upwards from around $15 to $30 plus shipping. We are not getting paid for this. It's something that I found that's really cool. So do yourself a favor, check it out. I may get one in the near future. You can get action figures, t-shirts, you know, vinyl figures, stickers, coffee mugs, a ton of stuff. So WrestleCrate.com, and if you get it, let us know. Send us a tweet at ByteThatCast, and if it's good, then it's good, and if it's not, then it's not. This is the point, I guess.
Great plug.
Thank you, sir. No, but you know, wrestling stuff like that's also. Oh, and you get DVDs also. So independent wrestling goodness, yes, please. Now, we are around the world of E3. Video games, we don't talk about them here, but we are definitely fans. At some point in the next 10 years, we may have a video game podcast or something. You never know, but E3 happened, and in that process, they announced the release date for WWE 2K16, and it is coming out on October 27th, people. And not just that, Keith, there's more. You ready?
Is there? Oh, yes. All right. My body is ready.
Okay, so guys, Dan O'Brien's confirmed to be in the game. Dan O'Brien.
Yes.
Yes.
I don't think anybody expected that to not happen, but okay, what matters is Finn Balor's in the game, people. Okay, the demon Finn Balor, you know, the body paint.
I think what's more important is Finn Balor's entrance is in that video game.
And think of how many Randy Orton CWs are gonna have that simply because of the double pose at some point. So what you guys think about the October 27th date? You guys pumped for 2K16?
Well,
definitely.
Before we go over that,
I'm interested too. Oh, we keep talking over each other.
Interruption. Okay,
right, go ahead.
I'll choose. Yeah, Keith, you go.
Well, I just wanted to say before we kind of get away from it, they did announce a couple more characters with Paige, Seth Rollins, Dean Ambrose, Bad News Barrett as well. Not King Barrett, Bad News Barrett. So the game's already outdated.
They're both bad.
But yeah, true enough. That's a whole other problem that doesn't extend in a video game, though. But no, it's about par for the course when that comes out. That's probably around when Hell in the Cell is. I haven't checked, but it's a pretty good guess. And yeah, maybe if it looks good, I'll pick it up. If not, I'll wait till it goes on sale on Steam, like it is today. If you're listening to this podcast right now, the day it comes out, Tuesday, you can pick up WWE 2K15 on Steam for
$25.
$25. Thank you. And yeah.
Yeah, so basically the deal ends on June 17th. We are recording this. It is currently 7:15 p.m. So basically get it for $25 with all the DLC except Paige. There's no way to actually get Paige. That's kind of weird, but yeah.
But as far as the actual game goes, it's hard to get excited now because a couple of characters got revealed. I can't wait to see more, but until then, eh.
Well, yeah, in 2K16, it's not really who's on the roster that matters to us. I think it's a lot of the other features. Although with with Finn Balor being confirmed in 2K15, from the little I played, I saw that they had like 5 or 6 NXT guys in there. And so I expect to see an even bigger emphasis on some of the NXT roster guys. But I think we're all looking at, what's the career mode going to look like? What are the match types, creation modes, all that is kind of what we're all waiting for.
Basically, go watch our SRT of what we want in this game, and it'll kind of cover it all.
Yeah, so, let's actually go to the questions, because we're talking about E3, we're talking about a couple of things. Keith, I moved them, so, I changed things a little bit. Can you read that question?
You being sneaky? Sure, Juan, I can.
Oh, Keith, if people want to send us a question, how can they do that?
Well, it's funny you ask that, because say I had a question in my mind and I really wanted to know my own opinion on it. Well, I'd ask myself. But if I'm not me, I would go to twitter.com/ByteThatCast, send a little tweet with my question on it, and then we'll answer it on the show.
Send it with Keith's question, not yours.
Yes, exactly, with my question. What question would I ask myself? Now, say you don't have Twitter. Well, first of all, you probably should. It's 2015. You should get on that. But if you don't,
there's anything wrong with that.
You should go send us an email over to bytethatcast@gmail.com, and we will also take your questions there. Your questions, not my questions. My questions are Twitter. That's all you on the email. But anyway, I digress. Our first question comes from Mr. James Limmy?
Sounds right to me.
Limmy? All right, he's at Limmy Nerd on Twitter, LIMIENERD. He asks, how are you feeling after experiencing Money in the Bank, Raw, and E3 over the course of 3 days? It's been a hell of a 3 days, guys.
Exhausting. Tiring and hard, especially, the Sony conference was during Raw. I won't lie if I say the majority of my focus at that point was Sony.
Yes, I have 3 computer monitors. One of them had Raw, one of them had E3 on it. It was pretty
And the
great.
other one, you'll never know.
The other one's the special monitor.
I actually took a couple days off, so it wasn't that bad, because I didn't have to work. So I think I was able to, my body was able to handle so much going on at once.
Exactly. And on Sunday, at the same time, there was Money in the Bank, and there was this little Bethesda conference. So I was watching Seth Rollins versus Dean Ambrose and Fallout 4 at the exact same time, and I could barely contain myself with excitement. It was probably it's basically this typhoon of bliss and words that I won't say on this podcast that just came together for this euphoric experience.
Yeah, it was pretty awesome. And just watching E3 Raw, by the way, during Raw, not only was it at the Sony conference, but Kevin Owens came out at the exact same time the conference started. So I'm like, come on.
What do I do?
Yeah, so that was really hard, but it's awesome. It's an overwhelming week. Things are still developing, but yeah, thanks, James, for the question. Keith.
All right. Next one comes in from frequent questionnaire, Mr. Barney Johnson, at Barnaballs on Twitter. And he asks, what's the most original and innovative finishing move on the current WWE/NXT roster? Curb Stomp doesn't count.
Original. Oh, okay, question for you guys. Question regarding the question. What's original to you? Like, is a DDT modification original for you guys?
If it's something you really haven't...
If it's a new modification.
If you haven't seen anyone else do it, I guess.
Okay.
Because I have a move, it's not a finisher, but I would say like Sami Zayn's like through the turnbuckle tornado DDT is like super innovative and original. I mean, I'm sure other people have probably done it, but like you haven't, if you watch WWE all your life, you've pretty much never seen that before. But for a finishing move, I'm going to have to think a little bit harder.
For me, I think the only answer, and I hate it because I wanted to avoid high-flying moves, it has to be the Red Arrow. Because I think it's a shame that most of the finishing moves now are simply a variation of a DDT or a backdrop. Look at the attitude adjustment. The pop-up powerbomb, that's awesome. If anything, that would probably be my second pick, but it's a powerbomb.
I agree with the powerbomb one for the exact same reasons. Like, it feels like a weird choice because it's just a powerbomb, but honestly, I'm going to have to go with Cody Rhodes on this one, or Stardust with his, what's it even called these days? The Queen's Arrow or something like that? Or did he just call it that once?
You mean the Crossroads or what?
Yeah, the Crossroads. And then like on the last pre-show when he was feuding with the guy from Arrow, he like changed the name of it or something. Or maybe I just had a fever dream and made that all up.
Maybe.
I'm not sure, but as far as finishing moves go, I think that's the most innovative / original on the show right now. As far as normal moves go, it's very, very simple, but we've never seen it before, and that's Kevin Owens' like corner cannonball thing. I don't even remember what he calls it, but
I think they just called it a cannonball.
It's so simple, but it's not really been done before in the WWE.
I love the setup.
I find it fascinating.
I love the setup where he did the German suplex with the Cena match, and then that led directly to the cannonball. That was awesome.
Oh, you know what the greatest, most innovative move is? It's not a finisher, but I love it so much. It's Dean Ambrose's springboard clothesline from the second rope, or rebound clothesline.
A rebound, yeah.
It's so great. It makes total sense, and he should never stop doing it 10 times in a match.
Ryan
Sister
cringes.
Abigail. That's another good one. I mean, kinda, but nobody's really done the Sister Abigail. Like, there's been modifications of it, like the Reigns of Terror from Luther Reigns would kind of be the closest thing, but
I think the way Rex Hayes does it kind of works better. That's just me, but I don't know. I mean,
well, hey,
it's
what
a
about the
different move.
bullhammer? The bullhammer. Nobody really does the elbow.
Except Nikki Bella.
Nikki Bella's is better. If anything, I like hers more.
That is a forearm. That is a forearm. There is a clear difference.
I don't care. It looks better.
Nikki Bella's looks better.
Actually, it kind of does.
Nikki Bella gets it with the forearm.
You can't give anything to Barrett, not even his finishing move.
Yeah.
Yeah, you've literally taken everything away from that man. And I guess the rack attack, even though it's just Abyss's shock treatment, but as far as WWE goes, that's
what
new.
about the Rampage? Actually, that's another move. It's simple, but why is it everything? Notice almost every selection is a variation of a DDT. The Sami Zayn thing, yeah, pretty much everything. So apparently, DDT, Stone Cold
Steve Austin was right.
Yeah, I was just thinking about that. So Barney, basically anything that comes out of a DDT is the winner.
What a dark reality we live in. Oh, man. Well, with that note, it's only going to get darker, because on to the next question from J4 Gaming. I hate you. I love you. Little more of the former than the latter. But he asks, he's at J4 Gaming YT on Twitter if you're interested.
The rivalry
Out of all the wrestlers that there have ever been, and he put in brackets, not divas, who would you all agree looks best in lingerie? And why?
Luther Reigns.
And now Keith's hate makes sense, but I'll give it to Santino as Santina Marella.
Yeah, I'm going to say Harvey Whippleman because of that evening gown match that one time. that probably only I remember.
I'm gonna actually say Maven because he had like the shortest, smallest tights in wrestling history, to the point where I can't say S's or pronounce them. So that would probably be my choice, and why?
And curveball, let's say Big Daddy V. On to the next question from Mr. Nicobe1324.
Yeah,
that's
my boy.
NKBE1324. Juan's boy asks, do you think Sheamus will put his briefcase on the line in a match sometime in the future?
So I'm assuming he's referring like he's going to call out for a match, not just randomly interfere.
Or does he mean...
I think he's saying, like, is he, like, gonna, like, say he fights Dolph Ziggler for the Money in the Bank briefcase?
Yeah, you could interpret that either way, but I think when he says on the line, he would have said cash in, I think.
Okay, yeah. Okay, sorry, yeah.
So, like, kind of how Cena and Ziggler had that ladder match a couple of years ago for the briefcase.
I'm gonna say no on that one. Because he's even though he's the brutish fighter, he still kind of plays the cowardly heel role to a degree. And a cowardly heel wouldn't really put that on the line.
He could get forced into it, but...
Yeah, I would say forced, or the only way I would legitimately see him going through with that is maybe like, he builds it up, a random superstar is going to get an opportunity. It's like Zack Ryder, somebody that everybody expects to lose, and they somehow win.
Because that's what we need, another open challenge.
Yeah, and then Zack Ryder becomes Mr. Money in the Bank, but he's with Mojo Rawley now, so...
I think... Given the fact that I think Sheamus is going to be holding on to that briefcase for a long time, that there's a pretty good chance that that could happen because, if he's just kind of feuding with people month to month or whoever, somewhere down the line, if they want to add some more stakes to the match, that they'll put the briefcase on the line. So I think there's a really good possibility.
So thank you, Mr. Nick Cobe, for... First of all, hanging out with me on the Twitch stream and then also sending us this question. Now, for the last one, I'm going to take over for this when it comes from the email.
Because I'm not good enough.
No, we love you, Keith. But, take a break. You've been doing great. So this email was sent to us from Zach Hardy, not related to Matt or Jeff, that we know of.
That we know of.
Yeah. So he has sent us a very elaborate email. We love getting these. We are going to sort of lightning around these. So I'm going to ask, think right off the bat what you think would be the best questions answer, I should say, and then we will go. So the first one, do you think it is a good idea or a bad idea or an absolutely stupid idea for a rivalry between two wrestlers to be held together by them winning the tag team championships together? Basically, as an example, so two tag team champions, but they are actually feuding alongside each other. They're feuding with each other. So like John Cena, Batista, John and Shawn Michaels, Atunga and John Cena and The Miz. A lot of John Cena in this, I just realized.
I think it creates an interesting dynamic. Like it adds another layer to the feud. So there's been a couple of good examples. Like I really liked the John Cena Shawn Michaels one. I thought that was really cool for their feud. And John Cena and The Miz it's kind of I wouldn't really call that an example considering it was like 20 minutes tops that they were tag team champions. But technically, yes. So, I mean, if it creates new interesting layers to feuds, why not?
I like it, but I don't like it at the expense of like the tag division. It's, if you have two guys that don't like each other, that somehow pull it together and beat an established tag team that's, working together week in and week out, it kind of makes the other tag teams look bad when two main eventers who don't even get along just destroy everybody in the tag division. So I kind of like them getting thrown into maybe a tag title match or something, or, they get a fluke win there and then they lose the titles again or something like that. But I feel like you have to be careful about how you make the other tag teams look in that situation.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's a cool concept when it's two partners sort of feuding, but I don't like it at the expense of the championship. I would prefer something like two guys fighting for one goal. So like, say the Dudley Boys were both wanting to go for a championship, and it's them battling each other over who gets the opportunity. I like it more like that rather than, them being champions. On to the second question. What is more likely? Stone Cold Steve Austin versus Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania 32, or a dwarf doing the hibbity-dibbity with a blonde, and not a bomb. Big difference. And filming it for Pornhub. This is a joke question, but I would still like an answer, please. Keith, it's made for you with the third monitor, so.
Well, I'd like to point this out as an answer, an indirect answer. One of these exists, and the other one doesn't. One of them's never happened before, while the other one probably does. Has. Whichever the proper verb is.
And you have probably watched. Anyway, Ryan, what do you think?
Yeah, if anyone's familiar with Rule 34, basically if it exists, there is adult entertainment of it. So obviously that is way more likely than Austin versus Lesnar, which, is pretty clear given Austin's comments that it's probably not going to happen.
Yeah,
it's a coin flip at this point. Let's be real here.
Yeah, one is overly complicated, complex, difficult. It's hard, difficult, all these things. And then the other one is a wrestling match that won't happen. So that's my answer to it.
I see what you did there.
Yes.
You crafty man, you.
Third question. Was the Nexus storyline invasion in 2010 a good idea? And if so, was it a good idea for them to feud with John Cena before anybody else?
John Cena single-handedly destroyed the Nexus. He took that amazing thing that they had and just pooped all over the entire angle. The worst thing that could have possibly happened was the Nexus losing at that SummerSlam. And they did, to John Cena. Damn near single-handedly. It destroyed all the steam at that point, and they never really recovered from it. And if you'd like to see our extended thoughts on this, I would recommend checking out the Do Invasion Angles Work SRT over at youtube.com/Byte That Cast.
Yeah, Keith nailed it. I have nothing to add to that.
Yeah, with all of that, the best answer is no. It was not a good idea to feud with John Cena. But at the same time, you're supposed to take over the company. That's your storyline. So ideally, you want to go for the top dog. So anybody else wouldn't have made sense.
But you build up to that, not just go barreling right to the top dog, which is what they did.
You can go either way, I guess. What matters is it didn't work. Because look at what Barrett's doing right now. He's feuding over, his robe with R-Truth.
Yeah,
so.
And then you have someone like Kevin Owens do something similar. But look what happens when he wins,
Oh. Man.
That's a real good point.
Yeah. It's like, oh, yeah, very good point. So last thing he brings up, do you think it is smart or believable in today's wrestling when a referee is either knocked out or screws something up? He brings up a couple of examples. So, the referees get knocked out even when they're just pushed to the ground. They mistake somebody. So like between the New Day, the Twin Magic, not disqualifying somebody, but then they get up and then disqualifications happen. Basically things that don't make a lot of sense, but end up happening anyway.
It's my biggest pet peeve in wrestling when a referee gets pushed or bumped into and he's just out for 10, 15 minutes just for the sake of story, I guess. But it really takes away some of the believability. While I understand that there is entertainment in wrestling and it's more on the entertainment side of the spectrum than believability, it just gets a little ridiculous sometimes. Even disqualifications really fall under that in the exact same way, where you see things that blatantly should be a disqualification, but because, I guess, to make the match progress, they decide to completely ignore it and not disqualify it, where 2 matches later, the exact same thing might happen and the person gets disqualified. It doesn't leave any benefit to the actual match. It just leaves this weird taste in your mouth that you don't exactly enjoy. Kind of like that blonde.
Well, yeah, the whole refs getting knocked out thing, if you do it the right way, it can be fine. But a lot of times when they just get grazed by a wrestler, they're out for 10 minutes. But I mean, if they take a decent bump, then it's fine, but most of the time it's a little hazy about the bump that they take. And I get that maybe the kayfabe explanation is that all these wrestlers, they're so strong that a normal pleb like a referee is just done when he gets even hit at all. So yeah, that it's they just gonna make him take a believable bump, and that's perfectly fine. The mistaking thing, you know what? The Bellas can get away with that, but it gets a little, if you're legitimate twins.
Can they anymore, though? Like, when they first debuted, totally.
Hey,
Not
at
anymore.
least,
they don't have the same hair color.
Bra this time, all right?
They have tattoos that are different. Like, how are you supposed to get away with that now?
I don't know, because storylines.
Yeah.
Okay,
and
they're
see,
twins,
that's
though.
the problem.
At least they're legitimate twins. So
Yeah.
I'll give them that.
And then does that mean the New Day thing is just completely racist?
We
Good
already
question,
went over.
Sheldon.
Yeah.
We're not getting into that. We already went over that
done
weeks ago. But basically, they need to be better about it because there's some like hazy finishes that are really stupid and don't make any sense. So yes, it's believable if a referee gets knocked out sometimes, but just be smarter about it.
If you want to see a good example of how it's done horribly wrong, go look up the SmackDown main event to the night before SummerSlam 2 years ago when it was Daniel Bryan versus John Cena. Let that one sink in, because that was a long trail to get to that. But it was a match between Daniel Bryan and Barrett, and then Vince McMahon knocked the referee out, and he was out for like 20 minutes at that point. It was just unbelievable, and it was
Vince
really
McMahon,
stupid.
right? You get up any sooner than 20 minutes and you lose your job.
Yeah, that's like the worst
I
example.
guess.
Like, you don't get up from that. Or you get pushed down like Triple H again.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that for me, just to conclude, it's stupid. Like, for example, here in Puerto Rico, most wrestling companies still do that a lot. Like, there's been, like, out of 7 matches, 4 or 5 do the referee bump, and it's like, they get punched in the shoulders, like, down for 10 minutes and then conveniently back up. There's ways of doing it. Like, if they get accidentally speared in a way that it looks like, they are down, fine. But have that happen once every, maybe 2-3 months. Not every week, because then kids start to wonder, how come this always happens? Why don't they get stronger referees and then, get it over with? But it just doesn't make sense. So thank you, Mr. Zach Hardy. You also talked to Keith about, I'm going to say this quick. And Keith, by the way, I'm sorry about your house show screw over. But wait, if the WWE event is on at 6 a.m. Eastern, then how would your house show interfere with that timing? I'm pretty sure your house show isn't at 6 a.m. Eastern, is it? I honestly don't know. I'm not going to your house show. But then again, I am also not going to wake myself up at 6 a.m. Eastern because I live in Connecticut, so I go by Eastern Standard Time in order to watch an event that I can easily replay on the network for just $9.99 a month. That is the one and only time that I will ever plug the network like that. Sincerely,
And
Zach
we
Hardy,
just kind of plug the network.
professional wrestler for the Ultimate Showcase Wrestling in Connecticut. So, Keith, I think this guy just kind of promo on you. Through me, by curiosity.
I think so.
Yeah.
I mean, Mr. Zach Hardy, thank you for your question. But with all due respect, I think you kind of missed the point there. It's not the fact that it's happening at the same time. It's that part of the roster is going to be in Japan at that time. While they're happening all those hours apart, I don't think a flight from Japan to Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada is entirely possible. So the best way to describe this is, okay, you go to the store, you buy yourself an Xbox One, you're real excited about it, you really want to play the new Call of Duty that comes out, right? So you go, you pick up a copy of Call of Duty, you're very excited about that. You find out it's the Xbox 360 version of it. It's the watered down version. You're not getting the main game that you wanted. So you're left with a bad taste in your mouth because of that. So it's kind of close to the same thing. Like, maybe
you're getting the B team, Keith. Just
I'm
get
getting
over
the B
it.
team.
You're getting the B team. But guess what? They run 2 groups anyway. So there was a good chance, Tokyo or no Tokyo, you were getting the B team anyway.
They
so
just don't like
accept
Canada.
it and live with it.
I'd like to think for the hard-earned money I spent on that ticket, I would be getting something.
Now, I'm going to a house show in August. Hopefully, mine gets the A team, so I can just sort of make
so you
fun
can
of
see
Keith
Mr.
about that.
T and everybody.
Yes, only the A team. But yeah, thank you, Mr. Zach Hardy, and good luck in your wrestling career in Ultimate Showcase Wrestling. A lot of great questions. Thanks to everybody, and for everything else, there's that
Except
card.
J4. No, don't thank him.
Do people just hate Keith? Why did, you know what, Ryan?
No.
Just take it away. This is getting out of hand.
All right. Well, that was a hell of a show. We want to thank everyone for listening. So before you go, let's go through our little catalog of fun things to talk about. Of course, our YouTube channel, youtube.com/ByteThatCast. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. As Keith said, a new SRT coming up this Thursday, our Square Roundtable, where we're going to be talking about the greatest title reigns in WWE history, our opinions on which ones were great and why. We all kind of have our own reasoning for justifying it, but it's a pretty cool video, so go check that out Thursday. Of course, next week, the season finale to Fight Night. It is a doozy. Me and Juan put a lot of work into this, and you will not be disappointed. That's all I'm going to say on that for now.
Just building up. Fight Night.
Yes. Get ready. Anyway, Byte That Cast. So at Byte That Cast and Facebook.com/Byte That Cast. That is Twitter and Facebook. And of course, for everything else, you can go to ByteThat.com. And Juan is holding up a Matt Hardy figure, version 1. So there you go. Just don't ever publish his entrance video on your YouTube channel.
Oh,
right?
yeah, no, don't.
His WrestleMania 19 entrance is bad news for
Yes,
your
bro.
standings with YouTube. That's all I'll let you know there. All right, so thanks again for listening, guys. We'll see you next week.
Oh, I love this.